Hey guys, and welcome back for another episode of the Banpresto World Figure Colosseum.
So today we have another guest. He's from the USA and his name is Eric Sosa. He has so many years of experience under his belt in sculpting, and he's just an amazing artist all around.
A lot to look forward to, and he's going to be sculpting the perfect self for us.
You know, I
Pun intended.
noticed. Nice one.
Thank you.
So there's a lot of villains and an equal balance of, you know, good guys, right? So
And this year's Colosseum, I think we have a pretty good balance of bad guys and good guys. So let's see what Perfect Cell has in store for us.
I'm excited.
Before I started creating, there was nothing. I can't remember a time when I was not creating. I know that I was always engaged in creating, sculpting, drawing, imagining things, watching movies, sci-fi movies. It's just been a part of my life. Well, between 7 and 12, I started basically sculpting my own toys. What I did is that I asked my parents if I could buy this oil-based clay, different colors. And I started building them myself. On top of like old action figures, I would remove the heads, the hands, the feet, and I would just use the bodies as kind of like an armature. And then I would just build on top of that with different colors and everything. And that's what I did. And I had like all these collections, different series of different cartoons. And that's what I did until I was like 15.
This is where it all started.
Then I started working at Mattel Toys. It was amazing. It was like it was just a different world. And basically, they had this group of really amazing artists from all over the world, from China, Japan, England, the United States, Italy. So I learned so much from these guys. You know, they all had different techniques and everything. And then I started working for different studios. And eventually I realized, like, well, I should just work from home. I just want to do my own thing. So I started going to like Toys R Us. I got all the info for different companies. Started sending my resume, my portfolio, and sure enough, I've been doing that I've been freelancing since 2001. The issue is that I always found that, that whenever I was working on something that I was really quite enjoying, because I just enjoy sculpting, my mind was thinking of, oh, I could be doing this creature, or I could be doing this character that doesn't exist. It's in my mind. I want to create it. And it got to a point where I thought that, if I really want to be the creator, I really need to change the parameters of everything around me. So that's when I decided, okay, I need to move on, and I need to quit the industry so I can start doing what I feel that I should do and not what I am told that I should do. So the thing is that if you love that stuff so much, it doesn't really matter what you do, but you need to be constant. When you really love what you do, you practice every day, every minute. What I would say to you is that, never stop practicing. Because if this is something that you're doing because you enjoy it, but you don't put in the time, then it's a hobby. And if it's a hobby, sadly, I don't think that'll take you to the heights that you could reach, were you to really focus and invest yourself. If you do that, then I promise you, there's really nothing that can stop you. You will find a way. Well, basically, when I'm approaching a character, what I do is that I try to learn as much about the character as I can. I believe that you need to be able to, perform. Maybe not physically, which I do a lot. I have a mirror here, and then I take pictures of myself, like posing. And maybe the specific pose that I want to sculpt. But not only that, in my mind I try to study the character potential poses. I also try to, do some sketches and everything so I can just get a better idea. But more than anything, I just try to think in the manner that the character would think. A lot of the times I'll be here for a week and I won't be sculpting, I'll just be drawing, but I'll be watching cartoons and I'll just be posing in front of a mirror, like, acting as though I were the character. I'm like, ha ha ha, okay, I'm Cell. Well, how would I act? Okay, he'd stand like that. He would actually, do this with his hand, or would he do this, or would it, what's the kind of body, language that he would use? And that's what I try to get into. I think just the fact that I'm able to move forms around, be it virtually or in the real world, it's just relaxing to me. It just transports me to another place. I don't know. It's incredible. It's like up there's so many ideas floating above your head, but when you're in that realm, man, you can just grab and go, yeah, I want this, I want this, I want that, like Tony Stark, and build something, So that's how I approach it. This is me in the zone, and these are my in the zone shades. And that's it. I start like building. Seriously, I know this is weird, but this is what I do sometimes. And I'm sitting here, I just make sure that nobody's watching me, and I start building. And I start sculpting in my mind. And I'm like, okay, move this leg, arch this back a little bit, and then I start building. And then once I have the thing, I start rotating it in my mind. Seriously, I know that's weird, I know. And then I go, okay, this is a cool idea. So then I start sketching it before it goes away. And then once I have a sketch, that's when I keep sculpting. So I have to put these on, otherwise it doesn't work. The reason why I really love Dragon Ball is because I used to watch it with my dad. We used to sit down every afternoon and watch it, and he would always bring that up, the fact that the character was always willing to learn, always humble, So that stuck with me. I try to not think too much of myself or my work, to be honest. So I think that's my greatest strength, in a way. Because I personally believe that you need to be humble. You need to stay humble and grounded. I chose to create Cell because he's just, the design of the character is really cool. He's like a hybrid between like an evil emperor looking, character with that big old hat that he's got. But at the same time, he's got elements of like aliens and obviously he's a cyborg, or an android, sorry. So I just like the idea of all those elements being mixed. So I thought that, the way Mr. Toriyama actually designed them, or, himself and his team, it just portrays a character that's super powerful without him actually having to, display his power. He's just imposing. He enters the arena and he's creepy. He's scary. So I wanted to do something that was really imposing and just enhance it a little bit by adding elements of, how can I say, organic elements to his armor. Because he's really organic if you look at him, But he also has some mechanical parts like his, boots and everything. So I wanted to approach him in a way where I would try to do justice to the character without really destroying the original design. So I just wanted to like touch it up, basically. I started playing these crazy mind games. I started like thinking of potential like scenes in my mind, like I guess as a director would, and I try to look at the character from every angle in my mind's eye. And then once I get an angle that's really dramatic, then I try to mimic that and with pen and paper. So once I get to that stage where I create the final sketch that looks decent enough for me to mimic in 3D, that's when I start sculpting in 3D. I think it's what's different about the way I approach Cell is the fact that I tried to make every single millimeter of the surface of the character creepier. So if you look at the hands, he's got like claws instead of just like regular fingernails. Although in the anime he does have like long fingernails, but I try to make them creepier. Give character to each nail, just the curvature of them and everything. And then like I added more tension to the character. So he's a character that, and that very scene that I try to capture, he's about to just show how powerful he is, and he's about to blast someone away, completely obliterate them. And that's what I wanted to capture, that the essence of that moment. So basically his head is like a giant egg that opens up, cracks open, and then his head, the dome, under the dome, I actually sculpted a brain. Like, so there's something in there, moving around. So when people look at it, I guess against the light, you're going to be able to see that there's something underneath the dome. So, that's the evil within, So that's what I wanted. That's the center. That's the core of it all. It was just scary knowing that I was going, I was going to be showing this to a Japanese company, because I have the utmost respect for Japanese sculptors. So that was my fear throughout the whole process. Saying like, how can I do something that's at least seen by these fellow artists in a way that's, with some kind of sense of respect, as opposed to like them saying like, what is this guy done? This is awful, That was my fear, to be honest. I cannot tell you for a fact that I know mine will win, but I know at least it will be seen by people as a good effort in sculpting and design. That's what I can tell you. Yeah, I'm super happy to go, super stoked to go to New York Comic Con. Yeah, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be awesome. I just love the fact that I'm able to meet these guys. And what I'm looking forward to the most is actually being able to have dinner with them and talk to them and just learn how they approach things. That would be the best. Yeah, if I could trade, the life that I lead right now for the life of one of the characters in Dragon Ball, I would choose Goku again. I would do it like that. Because he's got kids. I have kids. He's got a wife. She kind of looks like my wife as well. Black hair, fair, fair skin. Yeah. Yeah, I would do that. I would do that. I would be Goku. I just have to go to the gym. I need to work out. Just get my pecs going. I think I'm gonna take those 10 grand and I'm gonna go to Japan and learn from one of the guys that I meet, one of the sculptors. Maybe ask him like, hey dude, can I come over and maybe crash at your place for 2 months and learn all your secrets of sculpting, carving? No, I won't do that.
That was an awesome episode of Eric actually bringing us into his mind and saying that he's very much like Goku, where he's always trying to level up and get better at his craft and always working every day on his art, which is, I think, is one of the best messages I've heard.
Yeah, that was a very good comment. Always a student, forever a student. And
right.
He probably has one of the most experienced sculptors in this competition,
right.
Yet he still feels this need and desire to improve his craft.
I love that passion that he has.
Oh yeah, and there was a very kind of poignant moment where he's talking about his relationship to his father,
right.
too, and how Dragon Ball was a large part of
their
him
memories.
growing up. And
yeah,
their
exactly.
Memories too. And I thought it was really cool how he modified the character a little bit. I know it's a really touchy subject because, oh man, it's a character. It's Akira Toriyama. You
exactly.
don't mess with it. Yet
right.
Here Eric is, because he's in a different medium. He's sculpting. He decided, well, maybe I should modify the character a little bit, put my own interpretation on it, make the brain visible
yes.
through his design. So I think it's very interesting that sculpting allows for that freedom, the creative freedom.
And I think that Banpresto World Figure Colosseum is letting sculptors pretty much get to do what they want with the characters they love. So I really enjoy that part of the whole competition. So that's really cool.
Absolutely. Welcome back, guys, and let's go ahead and dive right into our next contestant, VAROQ, sculpting out of Japan. And you might actually recognize some of his figures.
I actually do. I actually won Future Trunks from one of the crane game in Japan. I'm pretty stoked about it. It's really nice. I mean, I hear he's doing another Trunks.
A Super Saiyan Trunks.
What? Where?
物心ついた頃にアニメがもうやってて、ですごい描いてたらしいんです。そのアニメとか見ながら描いてたらしいので、もう本当に刷り込まれてるというか、最初は美術教師目指してて、大学3、4年ぐらいの時にドラゴンボールのフィギュア見て、なんかやってみたいなみたいな感じで、もう路線変更、原型師の方に進んだ感じです。最初は工場で作ってるとか機械が作ってんじゃないかぐらい思ってて、いろいろ調べたら、そういう専門の職業があるのを知って、そこからどういうのを誰が作ってるとか知った感じです。最初その造形工房に入ってアルバイトみたいな感じで、そのドラゴンボールやってることを知ってそこに入ったみたいな感じです。そこから独立っていうか、5年前に独立っていう感じです。もう自分の好きなことにしか興味がないぐらい、人には譲りたくないっていう感じです。ドラゴンボールもう4回目ぐらいですね、大会出るのは。毎回プレッシャーはあるんですけど、特に一番最初はもうどういうアプローチで皆さんが来るかも想像つかなかったし、出場者みんながすごい名だたる原型師で実績もある方たちばっかりだったんで、その足を引っ張っちゃいけないなと思ってたので、緊張もあって、まずはそのいろんな方の表現とかに刺激を受けたし、その大会にかけるそれぞれの思いとかにも触れたし、本当に学ぶことが多かったような気がしますね。今回出場するその中田さんと山下さんの作品も毎回刺激受けてるし、自分でも買ったりもしてますし、でそれを見ながら、自分だったらここはこうしたいなとかと、もうそうですね、応用できるとこは応用させてもらったりしてますね。今見る、その時は時間内ではいろいろやれたかなと思ってたんですけど、今見るとまだあったなっていう、こうしたいああしたいはもう全然ありますね。あんまり満足したやつはそんなないですね。その時満足してるけど、あれっていうことばっかりですかね。100点以上は作ってるんですけど、その中でも1個2個ぐらいですかね。正直そのラディッツで人気ないキャラなので、大会としてそんなに盛り上がらないだろうなと思ってたんですよ。ただもう自分は人気がないキャラクターだけど、とりあえず作りたいものを作れたと思って、ラディッツがとりあえず作りたかったので、マイナーキャラだったり作りたいポーズのやつをなるべく作らせていただきたいっていうのはありますね。気持ち的にはその毎回新しい表現を入れるようにはしてるんですけど、同じようなやつ作ってもあんま意味ないかなっていうことを思ってるので、トランクスは1回、3、4年前に作らせてもらって、でその時は通常のスーパーサイズになる前の状態だったんですけど、基本的にそのトランクスのキャラクターが好きなので、もう一回作りたいし、どうせ作るならもうスーパーサイジンで、またポーズもちょっと前回とは対比というか、ちょっと違うような、あまり見たことがないようなポーズで作ろうと思うんです。それがひらめいたというか、まずどのキャラクターを作るかを考えて、じゃあそのキャラクターだったらそのいつの時代とか、どういう服装とか、そうですね、どういう場面とかで、そこであとはなるべく今まで出てないポーズを考えて、あと見栄えのあるポーズを考えて、そういう流れですね。いつどのタイミングでどこからそのヒントを得るかも違うので、例えばたまたま見たその別の漫画のイラストというか その表紙だったりそこからポーズのヒントを得る時もあるし、その自分がもともと持っていたドラゴンボールのカードのイラストからヒントを得る時もあるし、ドラゴンボールじゃない時もあるんですよね。そのいろいろヒントを得るのがどこで思いつくとか、そういうのもバラバラですね。作業場で急に思いつく時もあるし、原作読んで思いつく時もあるし。トランクスはそのドラゴンボールで珍しいその剣士だったり、その登場シーンのその斬新さとか、その背負ったものとか、本当に他のキャラクターにないものがいっぱいあるので、デザインから何からまだいろいろこう表現の仕方もあるし、自分ならではのこう解釈とかもできたし、見せ場はいっぱいあるまだまだこう見せ場あるんじゃないかなと思って、その綺麗だったり、その顔の見栄えが良かったりするのかっていうのをいろいろ考えて、もうなるべくその新しい表現でできればなっていうのは一番最初に考えましたね。ジージャンの表現も人それぞれやっぱ違うので、どこまで今まで出たフィギュアと変えれるか、リアルさをどこまで足していくかとか、ただ単にその実在するジージャンをそのまんま作ってもなんか変なリアルさだけが浮いちゃうので、そこはドラゴンボールっぽく表現は保たないといけないので、そこのさじ加減のがちょっと難しいんですけど、やっぱ自分たちより上のその原型師の方に対してはその方々が何ですかね、こう今まで築き上げてきた技術とか表現とかを学ばせてもらうところもいっぱいありますけど、上の方たちをいい意味でその焦らせるというか、そういう役割もその自分たちの世代にはあるのかなと思いますけど、あとは年下だったらもうそのなるべく追いつかれないように新しい表現をなるべく見せたいというところもありますね。どっちに対しても役割はあると思うんで、それをちゃんとやれるように、まずはやっぱり選んでいただいたことがただただ光栄ですし、もうとんでもなく荷が重いですけど、一緒にその日本人として出場する中澤さんと山下さん、同じチームでありライバルであり、やっぱ自分よりもそのベテランのお二人なので、そこに技術とか経験が劣ってる分足を引っ張らないようにしないといけないなと思ってます。海外はどちらかというとその表現がリアルなのかなと思いますね。なんか手で作ったと思えないぐらいのやつとかも、もちろん今デジタルで作る方もすごく多いんですけど、そのデジタルがまだそんなに普及する前でももうびっくりするぐらいリアルなやつもあったので、そこは本当に未知数で怖いし面白そうだなと思いますね。やっぱ違うと思うんですよ。日本の解釈と海外の解釈がやっぱ違うと思うので、そこの違いが全然違うものが同じ土俵に上がるっていうのがどうなるんだろうっていう。とにかく楽しみでしかないですね。
Wow, both of the sculptors are incredibly humble artists. And for me to see that in such great workmanship, I'm very taken back by that. And I really love that. Their camaraderie towards each other in this competition is very much a refreshing thing, you know?
Yeah, definitely. You can see VAROQ has so much respect for the veterans in the industry.
Correct.
And at the same time, he feels the need to kind of pull up the younger guys that are up and coming in the industry as well. So I think he has a very interesting outlook into how his sculpture fits into a bigger picture, I suppose.
And the whole message saying that, you know, you can always improve on your art, and keeping your mind open to do things better. And that's such a great message, and I think we can end it at that.